Hello, my friends. Welcome back to Carnage Reviews. My name is Eric. Today's film truly represents wholesome, family-friendly entertainment. I, of course, am talking about the German exploitation film Nekromantik. YouTube is truly going to love me for talking about this film. Released in 1987, Nekromantik was directed by Jörg Buttgereit. It stars Dakatari Lorenz, Beatrice Manowski, and Harold Lunt. Nekromantik tells a sensitive tale of a man named Rob. He works for a company that specializes in cleaning up traffic and other fatal accidents. He lives in an apartment with his girlfriend Betty. Rob likes to bring his work home with him. After cleaning up a fatal car accident, Rob brings home an eyeball and some other organs, puts them in jars, and sits them on a display case where other body parts also reside. Hey, nothing wrong with a healthy collection addiction. His girlfriend Betty also seems to share his passion. Betty and Rob have a pretty normal relationship, other than the fact that they are both necrophiliacs. Hey, whatever keeps the romance alive? Well, I guess in this case, dead. After one of his jobs, Rob brings home a very dead body for he and Betty to share. Things seem to be going great until Rob loses his job and Betty leaves him. Already very disturbed, Rob further delves into madness. The first time I saw Nekromantik back in the day, it was on a bootleg DVD with no subtitles. Luckily, though, Cult Films came along and re-released the movies, both of them, Nekromantik 1 and 2, on Blu-ray, with subtitles and in slightly better quality. Nekromantik, the first film, I'm pretty sure the second film was shot in the same film too, but the first film I know for sure was shot on Super 8 film to give it that dirty look. The look of the film is, well, not very attractive or visually striking, but this actually works for a film like this because it really adds to the grotesque imagery we see on screen. It's easy to dismiss Nekromantik as a film meant to simply shock and repulse you, and perhaps on some level it is that, but there is much more to it than meets the eye. It's a movie about love, relationships, social isolation, and desensitization. Given the content and what the film's about, and how YouTube is, I can't really show you a lot of clips, but I will just say this. When Rob brings home that dead body, they, well, fondle it for a while, and then we see a shot of a piece of wood being sawed off. We then see Betty, Rob, and the corpse in a bedroom. Betty's in bed with the corpse. Rob hands Betty that piece of wood that we saw getting sawed into in the previous shot. And when I first saw this movie, and it got to that scene, my dumbass, I thought to myself, what's she gonna do with that? The music used in Nekromantik is very interesting. It's not the type of music you'd usually hear in a film like this. It reminds me of Cannibal Holocaust, which did something very similar. It paired something ugly with something beautiful. As we watch Rob and Betty interact with this corpse, we hear this light piano music, and it almost feels like we're watching a scene of love rather than a scene of depravity. Because to people like Betty and Rob, that's what it is. It's love. It's normal. I mentioned how desensitization is a theme in this movie, and it comes up a couple times. The first time is when Betty is taking a bath in blood, and Rob is in the other room watching a documentary on desensitization. Desensitization is the process of reducing or eliminating someone's fears with repeated exposure. So, for example, if you're afraid of spiders, if you constantly expose yourself to them, you may be less afraid and find them less repulsive. There's something ironic about Betty bathing in blood while Rob watches a documentary about desensitization. The most important example of this, though, is when Rob goes to the movies. So Rob goes to the movies, and he's sitting in this crowd watching a slasher film. And in the slasher film, this woman is basically being brutalized on screen by this nut with a razor blade. And everybody in the audience just seems completely unfazed by it. They're smiling, laughing, talking to each other, making out. So it's almost like Nekromantik is telling us that if you're watching this movie, Nekromantik, and you're not bothered by it or not fazed at all by it, what does that say about you? Rob is an interesting character. He has a fetish for the dead, but seems to have extreme troubles with the living. His boss, Betty, and even a prostitute all bully him. Rob meets up with this prostitute and they go to a cemetery, his request, and he finds that he's unable to perform, if you know what I mean. And after that, the prostitute laughs at him, and this, of course, enrages him, so he strangles her. And once she's dead, he then figures out that he can, well, perform, if you know what I mean. I don't want to ruin the movie completely, but basically, Rob discovers that the only relationship he can have is with death. And we see this through dreams that he has, where he wakes up in a field and he's partially decayed and he's running around with this woman as he's carrying a severed head. So, what does that tell you? Is Nekromantik a good film? Well, I respect the filmmaker and I'm proud to have this movie in my collection, but I have to admit that I don't revisit this film as much as I revisit its sequel, Nekromantik 2, which I find far superior to the first film. Don't get me wrong, Nekromantik is fucked up. And if you like exploitation films and films that focus on taboo subject matter, then you should definitely check this film out if you haven't, and you should also check out the sequel too. I give Nekromantik 4.5 skulls. Have you seen Nekromantik? Let me know in the comment section what you think about the film. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to give that like button a good old schmacky schmack. Next week, I'll be talking about Nekromantik 2, which, as I said earlier, I actually prefer, and I feel it's a much superior film over the first one. I kind of have a theme going on with the next two videos, so buckle up. Well, that's it for me today, my friends. Remember, and this is really, really important and vital, never, ever die in front of a necrophiliac. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.